Hi, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Morning Joe with Christina and Brooke. Today, we come to you with a very time sensitive topic and in a little bit of a different format because this topic is that important and we care so much about our community and people and lives and compassion and love. And so, we wanted to have just a really authentic conversation just to show you all where our hearts are at and to say, like, we care. And I'm going to let Joe kick us off.
Yeah, I, I appreciate that. So I spent a lot of time thinking about our community, not just the community at large and the stuff we've been seeing on TV, but more specifically, our Morning Joe with Christina and Brooke community. You know, the people who watch our videos, who like and share our stuff, and who are just kind of starting to gather around us as an online community. And I hope, I desperately hope that one of the things we have in common, right, that the thread that kind of connects each of us is that, we're all seeking to improve ourselves in some way, right? Seeking to improve our life circumstances, seeking to improve our community, and at a very deep and core level, seeking to improve, who we are as human beings. We are seekers, and not just seekers of the fun or of the entertaining, although that's nice once in a while, but seekers of improvement. And we're seeking to improve ourselves, improve our circumstances, and I think in some ways by extension kind of like the human condition. And for me, it's hard. It's so hard to envision any real meaningful progress on that front if we can't, as a community, reasonably look at one another and fully embrace, or at least admit at some very fundamental level, that, like, Black Lives Matter, that police brutality is a problem, and that we have some deep-seated issues of racism to overcome on a small and large scale, both personally and systemically. And that when you combine kind of the inverse of those three, right, when you get to Black lives don't matter, police brutality is acceptable, and nope, no racism here, what we're kind of left with is a situation where our collective silence of going along with the default or going along with the status quo does in fact translate to violence for people of color, and especially the Black community. So speaking out and taking action in whatever way we can, in a way hopefully that kind of stretches us, that feeds into these conversations we're having every week, is consistent and is in line with what we're trying to achieve through Morning Joe with Christina and Brooke. And that, just in my mind, that not doing that just doesn't really make any sense for me. Doesn't make any sense for us and our community.
Totally, Joe. And thank you for saying that. It's tough. I mean, and I'm sorry if anything that I say is offensive to anyone watching. It has no intention of that. And I hope what we're all saying resonates and is somewhat helpful. But, you know, it's nuts. Like, I started watching this TV show Bosch, right? And it was recorded in 2017. The same thing that just occurred with George Floyd was happening and was delivered in a whole season of this show in 2017. So we want to think that, times are changing and we're evolving, but why? How is this happening? How will it ever end? How is it going to change? And when you said we want to think about the inverse of the message that we want to get across here, how can, we say that racism doesn't exist? As two white girls and a Hispanic man, we have no idea what it is to live in a body of someone who's Black at all. So there is a level of racism there, or just lack of knowledge and understanding, because we're all born thinking that everyone's equal, and then people evolve and things happen and people aren't treated the same way. They're not looked at the same way. They're not accepted the same way. And I don't know what the answer is, but I like how you said we are here to evolve, to learn, to grow, and just show support in any way possible.
And I think something that you said there is inherent to kind of the larger conversation, where in the same way that us in our community, we've taken it upon ourselves. We are the ones driving our desire to improve. We're the ones that are trying to, become our best selves in the different ways that we do that from week to week through our conversations. In the same way, it's up to us. It's up to us to drive that change within ourselves, right? It's really easy when you look at the big societal problem and the protests and the inherent injustice that exists within the system. It's so easy to sit there and say, man, I can't do much. Me on my own against the system, there isn't much I can do. And maybe in a vacuum, that's right. One person against a system, but we have a community. We're part of a community. We're part of a family. We have friends. We are surrounded by people who we can impact, beginning with ourselves. And I think maybe that's, without verbalizing it, that's where my brain was going when I was thinking about this over the last couple of days, is the hope that that's where this leads us. It leads to us within ourselves, starting with us having this change of consciousness, this desire to be able to see the things that we maybe didn't even know existed, or to see the things that we kind of maybe thought existed but would have rather avoided because it was too uncomfortable, or that we knew was there but we couldn't be bothered for a million different reasons. That now, because of all the things that have kind of lined up, that maybe we are now in a position to say, dude, you're out of excuses.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the same way that we're trying to, improve our executive function skills, and we're trying to lose weight, and we're trying to do that. This just goes a million times deeper, a million times more magnified. And the idea that, I'm not going to be able to bridge that gap of, hundreds of years of inequality in this country, but I can start with my neighbor. I can start with my sibling. I can start with myself. How about that? I can start with reconciling how I feel about this within my own spirit in a way that exudes and follows and taps into the same guiding force that brings you to our videos every week, right?
Sure.
That brings people to the idea of, I want to improve. I want to be better. I want to change. I hope that when our community looks at one another, it would be hard to see what's going on out there and not tap into that on an even deeper level, not tap into like, well, crap, I really need to change now. I really want to lock into this movement, this thing that's happening, this frustration that we're all kind of experiencing. And I think you did a really good job of kind of hitting on that and what you were saying.
Yeah.
And not just in a moment's time, sorry, Brooke, not just now, not just when bad things happen or when riots break out, but as an everyday practice. What is one thing that we can commit to doing each and every day? And when I think about that for myself as a person, it's what's my superpower? Teaching, learning, growing. So I think step one for educators is to learn. And step two is to teach and spread the message, spread the word, raise awareness, and make it a daily, constant effort and practice.
When I was a teacher and working in the public school system in New York, we were practicing a bully reduction system, the OVEA system, and what your impact can be as a bystander. You can only, like Joe said, it starts within and then you can impact others. But there's so much power in just being a bystander of something like this, and making an impact that way as well.
Yeah. So sitting there in silence kind of says, it's okay, keep at it, keep doing it. So we need to be the opposite of that. We need to stand up and say, hold on a second, what's going on here? That's not all right.
Exactly. Tapping into our core values, knowing right from wrong.
Not being afraid of questions.
And then also you know, gosh, there's so much to say, right? But when people make mistakes over and over again, you know, and they're making vital mistakes over and over again, you got to ask, well, you know, what's changing in this person? Why isn't this person getting some sort of like consequence or change, like improvement plan or whatever, you know, like how much, not to point fingers, but how much of it is, you know, who's watching everyone and letting things slide. You know, with this police officer, apparently he was brought up for like 16 other infractions. So,
And I think you're at a place that I was gonna recommend that we start heading down that might eventually get us to where you are, where kind of like in a practical way, there's an unspoken and I think an inherent humility to what it is that we do through Morning Joe with Christina and Brooke, where, and this goes back to what Christina said, and it's hitting on what you're saying, where to get to a place in life where you're like, you know what, I need some help. I need some information. I need somebody to give me some strategies that I don't have, that comes from a place, even if it's not spoken, even if it's not something that we highlight, it comes from a place of people getting to a place where they're like, it's not enough. What I've got going on isn't enough. I need more. I need more information. I need more support. I need to learn more. And I hope that's why some people are tuning into our videos, right? Is because they are at a place in life where what we happen to have a high amount of knowledge in, they need some of that. You know, they needed to kind of get to the next level. In the same way, I think a real practical place that might eventually lead us to asking some of those questions or getting some of the answers to the questions that you're asking, Brooke, is that same humility, that same place of like, man, I don't really know this, and I need to go listen to Christina, Joe, or Brooke when it comes to EF or when it comes to just, you know, succeeding in goals and establishing goals and being better and virtuals, all that kind of stuff that we've been talking about for months. Dude, in the same way, getting to where Christina is and be like, dude, I don't know enough. I need to go talk to somebody. I need to learn. And maybe it is not going to be Christina, Joe, and Brooke when it comes to this. It's not us, but man, there's a lot of other people who that same humility where it's like, I don't know enough. I need to know more. And I need to find the person who can dig into the details and get into the weeds of like, how is this system set up so that this happens? So that a cop can keep his job for blah, 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 blah. Or how does this happen? How does this person end up in this position? I'm not the person to answer that. I don't think, you know, you guys are either. I don't think any of us would look in the mirror and say, yep, that's our thing. That's our jam.
We're not experts here, yeah.
But those people are out there. So in the same way that somehow people stumbled upon us in humbly looking to improve, if we take that same attitude, if all of us take that same attitude, there are people out there who are looking to get us that information, who've spent their lifetimes trying to desperately get us this information, who've been screaming from the rooftops, hey, this is going on, this is happening, pay attention. Now that the stars have lined up so that we are paying attention, what a great opportunity to include that in to have that maybe become a priority in the things that we're doing day in and day out. Hey, every day, every week, every couple of days, I need to go to bed knowing a little more about this than I did when I woke up this morning. And I'm not getting it from Joe, Christina, or Brooke. That's not the source. I'm going to the source. I'm going to someone who has a platform, who's informed, who's been doing this a lifetime. And maybe that'd be a good thing for us to share in following up this video and just throughout the week.
Yeah. If anyone knows of that, they definitely please put it in the comments.
Well, thank you so much for joining with us today. As you can see, we have a lot to learn. We want to eagerly grow because change doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines and being silent. We need to ask questions. We need to become more knowledgeable, and we need you to help us with that. So thank you so much for watching, everybody.